What is up, y'all? Y'all know what time it is. It is Technique Hunter Wednesday, Techniques Day. I don't know. We're still coming up with a good solid name. I think it's Technique Wednesday or something in the title. So we are looking at backstroke. So story of me in backstroke, right? I was a breaststroker, which means you already know my backstroke sucked. Okay, I got to figure that part out. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, I got to think about that because I have a camera here, but this isn't the one that's working. It's this one. But my interface is over here above this camera. So if I look like I'm looking the wrong way, that's why. But so like I said, I was born a breaststroker, so you know my backstroke sucked. It did. It's terrible. And then, okay, good, it's charging. I started working on it and went from like an A-time backstroker to fourth in the state of Texas at our state championship meet. Um, and then backstroke became one of my better strokes. Or it was still always my worst stroke, but it became one of my better competitively strokes. I was 50.99. That was a summer juniors cut back then, so I think that's like a 48 adjusted for inflation. So I was balling, in my worst stroke. But that's neither here nor there. The thing that we're talking about this backstroke content is I'd say that it's the stroke I understand. Like if a goat told like Pearsall, right? I could repeat everything he told me. But when I combine backstroke with your human animal movements, which is usually throwing over the shoulder. So when we're swimming backstroke, we want to catch and kind of hear and finish. That is a human motion. Human animal movements work for all other strokes except for backstroke. Backstroke, it almost seems like, not almost seems like, my experimentation with it has been that the weaker you swim, the more effective the stroke is, right? So instead of doing this, throwing over it's better to throw under. And so right now, what I'm experimenting with is what I can make weaker, what I can tweak to make less power, which actually makes you swim backstroke faster. But anyway, so I thought this would be an interesting watch. I now know that be unathletic to swim faster backstroke. When I mean athletic, I mean obviously human animal motions, being explosive. The less you do those things, the faster backstroker you are, or powerful. The less you do those things for power, the better backstroker you are. So this should be an interesting watch. We'll see some things that I agree with, things I disagree with, things I used to disagree with that I now agree with. So let's jump into it. This is a video by Max Swims, 23K subscribers. Let's see what he's talking about.
Most Olympic backstrokers have very similar technique. In this video, I'll help you fix all the most common errors so you can swim backstroke faster than ever before. Just like freestyle, a major issue people face in backstroke is the head position. The angle of your head can drastically affect how fast you swim and how much drag you create. Many swimmers tuck their chin down towards their chest, but this is completely wrong. People like doing this because it helps them become more aware of where they are in the lane.
And as a human animal, it moves you closer to verticality, which front back, it just works better for you as a land animal. It's also not entirely correct. So I'm bumping my head. Um, the actual elite backstroke bodyline, from my understanding, I'm not going to say it's chin down, but it's definitely like here, where your body's up and your head's kind of pulled back and you're putting the weight on a center of gravity of your weight on, I don't know how I just said that, but you understand what I mean. You're putting pressure on like the upper part of your T, where your lung and like the upper rib area, where you can use your lungs for buoyancy. So he's not wrong. I'd say okay about backstroke. The one thing I'm really good at teaching backstroke is like 12 and under backstroke. It's very easy to coach. Get them flat. No big knee bends where they're pushing water back and creating drag. You don't want any of that. This is a very bad eraser for precision. I feel like I'm going to erase something else. Well, that's because I should be. Right? And then you want as close to a straight line pull as possible. So maybe they enter their arm here. You want it a little bit behind the head. And then they need to, what I say, come up by the surface, right? Which should create a straight line pull. So what we'll have those at age group is they'll drag their thumb in the air while they pull. Because if they do this all the way down, that's going to be a straight line. It's when this starts going up and down that you end up with a non-straight line. And for kids, right, we want a high tempo and we want them to swim in a straight line. So we want to pull in a straight line, and the shortest distance between 2 points is also a straight line. So not only are they pulling themselves in a straight line, they're naturally getting their tempo up. I think that's a big thing we do with Rakely is controlling tempo through how you swim, not necessarily trying to move faster. Oh, whoops. Okay.
However, the further down your head is, the more your hips will drop to the floor, and low hips make you swim slower. Your head should be looking directly upwards towards the ceiling, with your chin comfortably away from your chest. Lifting the head up will raise your hips and help you to swim much faster backstroke. Kicking in backstroke is also crucial. To develop a world-class backstroke kick, you need to have flexible ankles to maximise your propulsion. Although it's incredibly difficult to keep your legs going during backstroke, a continuous kick can make you go so much faster. Watch Ryan Murphy and notice how he has a powerful, high-speed kick. He doesn't stop kicking for a single second. Murphy's knees aren't bent too much either. Overbending at the knees can increase drag, and it's also more tiring anyway. Now watch a clip of my own backstroke and see how I have a massive pause in between kicks. Imagine how much faster I would be if I kicking the whole time. There's no point in letting your legs take a break because they generate so much propulsion. To get your legs stronger for the backstroke kick, do a training set such as 2050s in a streamlined position. Another common mistake is the hand entry into the water. I see swimmers placing their hands too far.
All right, so on the kicking thing too, if we go back, we watched that Ryan Murphy part. Like he said, very little knee bend, but the thing I really want you guys to focus on is how tight his kick is. Right? We never see this huge space develop. When he rotates, the camera angle kind of makes it look bigger than it is. But watch how tight his ankles and his toes are to each other, and that his toes are right underneath the surface.
How he has a powerful, high-speed kick. He doesn't stop kicking for a single second. Murphy's knees aren't bent too much either. Overbending at the knees can increase drag, and it's also more tiring anyway. Now watch a clip of my own backstroke and see how
So what we'll do right there for the kick, I gotta jump through things. It's kind of annoying. I need a producer. Let's leave it up. How's that look? Can't really see the dot. There we go. All right, we want to only, one, keep the ankles pointed, right? We're only kicking up. There is no down kick. There is no, I'm kicking both ways. Only kick up. Your muscle memory will take care of kicking down, right? And we want to kick right under the surface. We don't want to break the surface, although it is okay if our toes break on accident. But this also has to go into the body line, right? We don't want our knees popping out because that disrupts the water around your body. It's going to make you swim slower. So we want to only be kicking up, and the other one goes more up, right? Up and more up. No down, no both ways. Up and more up. Okay? Flex the thigh muscles. Get it going. You can kick from your hips. Do I teach kicking from the hips? I do. For 12 and unders, we do from the hip. For 13 plus, we go flick kick. Which is kind of what you saw from Ryan Murphy, how his knees are barely bending, but it's still the same principle. Let's see, it would be this one would be bent a little bit. So there's a hamstring, kneecap, thigh. And this one would be straight, this leg that's behind him. Right, so this one's straight, that's on the away, and the one that's closest is bending. I don't know why I drew it like that. I can draw it like this. Okay, the one that's up is straight. The one that's down here, or the one that's closest to the camera, is bending. And basically in that same space, I'm gonna do it upside down because my elbows don't bend the right way, is you're using your elbow to like flop your ankle. So I'm gonna do it this way just so you can see the momentum. Right, my elbow, like it makes the momentum travels through my hand and makes my fingers catch the whiplash. So what you're trying to do with your flick kick, actually I think I might be able to show y'all, is you're trying to use your knees to make your ankle like flop, right? And then you're fasten your knee, which makes sure, I can't even show you. People are gonna be like, dang, yeah, that's why I was a Division I ranked swimmer, right? So I'm using my knees to make my ankles flop. I got my ankles locked down and I'm flexing my thighs. So it's still the same tight space as the straight leg, but now we're getting more into quads, which we need for more strength as a pubescent swimmer. Now, can you teach this to younger athletes? Yeah, but this will work, the straight legs. And the reason why I like making it a separate skill is it gives you an easy way to improve. Right, you did this in backstroke for this long, and it makes their hips stronger, which is always a good thing. Now we're gonna learn the flick kick. And that's what you need as a 13-year-old to keep going faster. Guaranteed improvement.
Massive pause in between kicks. Imagine how much faster I would be if I kept kicking the whole time. There's no point in letting your legs take a break because they generate so much propulsion. To get your legs stronger for the backstroke kick, then your hands are entering the water at the right position. Also remember to enter with the pinky finger first, to begin pulling right away. When pulling, pay attention to how much your elbow is bending. Most beginners think that the straighter their arm is, the more water they pull. This is not true. Ideally, your arm should be bent close to 90 degrees. Not only does this generate more propulsion than the straight arm, but it also causes much less drag. The Race Club has proven that the bent arm technique will increase your average velocity by 3%, your stroke rate by 8%, and your peak acceleration by up to 43%.
So now we start getting into what I'm talking about, right? So mechanical advantages in swimming do not make you swim faster. No, I mean, in certain spots they do, but for the most part, mechanical advantage is going to make you worse. So if I catch and I'm doing sprint freestyle like this, yeah, it's a great vertical forearm, but my chest is open. Whereas if I'm narrow and I pull with more of a straight arm, I'll be able to go a lot faster in my freestyle. Right now, if you tried to take this same philosophy and put it into your strength training, it's a lot more power when you use your elbows to do a pull-up. Imagine if your elbows were straight and you had to do like a muscle up like that. It takes way more power. And you'd feel all those muscles trying to recruit them even though you wouldn't budge. So that's the point I'm making is you gotta kind of reverse think about how you or mechanical advantages to get that. and freestyle, breaststroke to a degree, to a large degree, and butterfly. Exact opposite in backstroke, right? You're on your back, which is obviously one, not a very strong human animal position. One, you're going to pull behind your back too. So you're kind of in this area with your hand in front. Everything else is behind. You're in a right angle. We know in this freestyle, that's not the fastest, excuse me, it's not the best way to produce power. So it's like a lot of the things that as a human animal make sense in, and strength training makes sense in swimming to swim fast. It's the exact opposite in backstroke. The exact opposite. And on the straighter arm thing, I found that you can make a way more power, but then I think it might be the drag that just gets so big, or the amount of power that you're making, you just don't have the strength to move your body through the water. Because I'll see my kids and they'll do it like the way I used to teach it, and you can see like the amount of water they're catching, like on their arm. Like it looked crazy. The water is trying to get out the way because of how compressed they made the water with their catch. But then they're not swimming very fast. But then all of a sudden you do this weakness and it's like, oh man, like this is a piece of cake. And I like I said in the, what's it called? Technique, IG technique last week, how coaches should be in the streets trying these things out. Like I tried this out, and like I said, with the throw the ball, we had made some adjustments. You know, we were swimming very fast, but I'll never forget I had this 13-year-old who dropped like 6 seconds when we went to trying to swim weaker in his backstroke. 6-second drop, almost got sectionals, just turned 13. Like imagine a 12-year-old boy getting sectionals. That's a very high accomplishment. Just turned 13. He missed it by like a half second or 8/10, I think is what it was. So good on you, Max Swims. Let's see what else he's talking about. Oh, got cut my.
This clearly shows that the straight arm pull is much slower. Rotation is the most important part of a good backstroke. Backstroke is different to freestyle because there is only one option instead of 3. It can only be shoulder driven. Backstroke doesn't have a hybrid or a hip driven technique. Focus on rotating the shoulders aggressively from one side to the other, lifting your entire shoulder and armpit out of the water. The more you lift your shoulder out of the water, the deeper the pulling arm goes, both of which cause less drag. The fast rotation of the body will increase your speed and propulsion so much in backstroke, so remember to always do it, even in training. The final backstroke mistake is the stroke rate being too low. Most swimmers just don't turn their arms over quickly enough. A fast stroke rate is the ultimate key to a fast backstroke. If your main event is the 200 back, I'd recommend a stroke rate of 43 to 45 cycles per minute.
Yo, this pisses me off. I'll say this. This really, really, really pisses me off. Okay? Let's write it up here. You know what really pisses off Dax Hill, the founder and owner of Rakely, is people who talk about tempo, not using the word tempo, stroke rate, those 2 words, okay? Or stroke cycle. I'll take cycle, but it can be confusing when you say stroke cycle to kids. Gotta be careful about your spelling on the internet. Ooh-wee. All right. And then this is the thing that gets me. When they talk about it in terms of X per minute, who knows what that means? Seriously, think about it. If I told you, hey, we're going to go a 25 free, it doesn't take anybody a minute to do a 25 free. How am I supposed to calculate what this tempo feels like for a 50 free? Unless I swim for a minute. And you can be like, oh no, that was too few. Or I know like, okay, that was 60 seconds, my tempo was good. Or making sure it's consistent, right? So that's why in a tempo trainer, they'll put it, you can put it at this per minute and it'll beep at the appropriate time. But you can't, like that just, as an athlete, it doesn't make any sense. It's way easier for me to compute and relate to the time it takes me to get from here back to here, which is your stroke. That's a stroke cycle. So when you're talking about tempo, dude, talk to them in terms of time and the time it takes from their hand to get from in front back to front. And butterfly, I use the time it takes for their head to come up and go back under. You can use the hand entries also. Backstroke, same thing. Arms, breaststroke, you definitely use the head submerging. Stop talking about it like this. This is stupid. All coaches do this, and we talk coaches. I don't talk like this, but coaches talk to coaches with that shit. It don't make no sense to your athletes. Hey, I need you to do a stroke in 1.4 seconds every time on one arm. If we split this, I need your hand hitting the water every 0.7 seconds. It's way easier to understand. Okay, I wouldn't use this number right here, but just to give you a reference point, like it's way easier if you just set it to beep when it's supposed to beep instead of this shit, where it doesn't make, or not this shit. Use this shit instead of the beats per minute, because like I'm never gonna swim 100 freestyle in a minute. I'm not 10 years old, and I might go too slow and then speed it up at the end. I need every stroke to matter. I don't have time to make those mistakes. This is a pet peeve of mine, if you can't tell. Drives me. Oh, here we go.
For the 100 back, you need to increase this to at least 50 cycles per minute. And for the 50, you need to go even higher than this and aim for a 57 stroke rate. I hope this video helps you achieve a perfect backstroke technique. Although it's the least...
So shout out to Max Swim. It looks like he's a young guy. He made this a year ago. So how young is, dang, shout out to you, bro. You look young as hell. Yeah, if you got 20K and it's got how many views? 43,000. Yeah, he's making some solid money from this. Shout out to Max. You know, you love to see a young entrepreneur making some money. I don't know if you're a race club correspondent because you just got it hanging out there, but you know, shout out to you. Got some sponsors on deck. I don't know if y'all can see above where I am, but he's got Phoenix and Speedo, so doing it big. You know, you love to see a youngster out here making moves, man. But that's it for the video. It's a 4-minute video, real short. I agree with pretty much everything he said, except for this. Stop talking about strokes and like 57 strokes. Well, what if I do 10, 20, and then in the last 5 yards I do 30 strokes? I do 37. I did 57, but that's not how it goes. All right, give me the amount, what you need per second, right? I can make sure that every stroke is correct. So that's it, guys. Make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that noti bell so you're notified whenever we drop a video. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, not Central Mountain Time. Thank you for hanging out. We will catch y'all later. Peace.